Mr. Speaker, on the statement on education, I want to thank Senator Wetangula. Mr. Speaker, a country that is at war with its young people is a country that has no future. A country that is at war with its young people is a country that is cannibalizing itself, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, our young people today have no hope. They are disillusioned and they are disengaged. In the months between October and December in this Nairobi, I have lost more than 30 young people to extrajudicial killings. Mr. Speaker, in the last 2 weeks we've seen a 21-year-old young boy shot at Westgate at the Dusit attack, abandoned. We've seen a 26-year-old young boy arrested and charged in court because he had to sneak out his baby in a bag because he could not pay that. What are we talking about as a country? What future are we trying to build, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, we have toiled in this parliament for the last few years. We've brought bills, Mr. Speaker. National Employment Authority, I sponsored in the last parliament, where all these young people who are supposedly defaulters of help would have now been engaged on compulsory internships, which would have paid those loans. They are not being implemented. Mr. Speaker, I brought 30%. The bill that has introduced 30% procurement, preferences for young people, governors, ministers, PSs are giving their children, they are giving their cronies. It is not being implemented. Mr. Speaker, we cannot go, and I want to say it today with authority of the Senate, as the chair, the vice chair of Security Committee. Any police officer listening to me, don't you try to arrest any young person who has defaulted on help. And I wish, because I think the character of CS Amina is different, I just pray that she was misquoted, because I cannot imagine her having said that, Mr. Speaker. We cannot be talking about recovering 7-point-something billion from young people who have no jobs. In fact, this House should amend the law. Help should not have an interest. It's not about interest, Mr. Speaker. And number two, you should not be asked to pay any penalty before you get employment. Government should figure out how they will find out whether those young people have got an employment. But why is it that today it has been a crime to be a young person? In part of my county, Mr. Speaker, the highest cause of death is youth. Just because you're a young person, you're at risk. You have to be in the house by a certain time. You go out to look for a job, Mr. Speaker. You get onto a border, you come to town, you're arrested. The border is not yours. It is taken. You have to pay 25,000 shillings to get it. You open a kibanda in Nairobi, Mr. Speaker, the city council is on you. You are arrested. You get it from Matatu, Mr. Speaker, you are arrested. Let us become serious, Mr. Speaker. The youth are the trustees of our country's posterity. And we do not want a generation that is growing up in this country trying to get even. We will not survive, Mr. Speaker. So I pray that the chair of education, who is here and is a great gentleman, together with justice and legal affairs, because the issue of extrajudicial killings have taken up with my security committee and want to do it together with them, let us return hope to this country. And let us resist any such retrogressive proposals coming from whichever quarters, coming from whichever individual, Mr. Speaker. If you had a help loan, Mr. Speaker, let them come up with a mechanism as government to find out if that young person has gotten a job. Government should do it. And it's simple. Implement the laws we are passing in these houses. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable